Here.
Mr. Giordano.
Here.
Mr. Graziano is not present. Ms. Guaman is not present. Mr. Guyan.
Here.
Mr. Pizzi.
Here.
Mr. Zangari.
Here.
Ms. Shifley is not present. Mr. Leon is not present. Mr. DiLorenzo is not present. Mr. Harris.
Here.
Mr. Marinello.
Here.
Okay, thank you. If we'd stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Sunshine notice, please.
The meeting has been advertised according to sunshine law.
And we have some communications. Lorraine, could you?
Yes, we just wanted to let the board know that Chairwoman Alvarado signed a letter on behalf of the planning board supporting a grant to add a historic element to the master plan. And that letter is on file with me if anyone wants to see it.
Thank you. There's no comments from me. Approval of minutes dated April 10th, 2025. Can I get a motion?
Motion.
Can I get a second?
Second.
Roll call.
Chairwoman Alvarado.
Abstain?
Mr. Venero.
Yes.
Mr. Vanda.
Yes.
Mr. Giordano.
Yes.
Mr. Guyan.
Yes.
Mr. Pizzi.
Yes.
Mr. Zangari.
Yes.
Okay, approved, and let the record reflect Ms. Guaman is now present.
Okay, our bill list is next, dated May 8th, 2025. Can I get a motion?
Motion. Second.
Roll call.
Chairwoman Alvarado.
Yes.
Mr. Venero.
Yes.
Mr. Vanda.
Yes.
Mr. Giordano.
Yes.
Ms. Guaman.
Yes.
Mr. Guyan.
Yes.
Mr. Pizzi.
Yes.
Okay, approved all in favor.
Okay, tonight we have some resolutions to be memorialized. 11 Franklin Avenue. Have to read all.
No, you just, as a reminder to everyone, that's the one we heard with the Chipotle restaurant and the mixed-use building. I have had an opportunity, I went through both the transcripts from both nights, and I did have an opportunity to vet the resolution through both the applicant's counsel, because I wanted a few things factually checked to make sure it was right on, and also Mr. Donatelli also had a chance to take a look at it. So you have the most up-to-date version of that. We just need a motion in a second.
Motion.
Second. Roll call.
Chairwoman Alvarado.
I have to abstain.
Mr. Venero.
Yes.
Mr. Vanda.
Yes.
Mr. Giordano.
Yes.
Ms. Guaman.
Yes.
Mr. Guyan.
Yes.
Mr. Pizzi.
Yes.
Mr. Zangari.
Yes.
Okay, resolution approved.
Thank you. And the second one that we have to memorialize is 46 Lake Street.
Motion.
Can we get a second?
Second.
Roll call.
Chairwoman Alvarado.
Yes.
Mr. Venero.
Yes.
Mr. Vanda.
Yes.
Mr. Giordano.
Yes.
Ms. Guaman.
Yes.
Mr. Guyan.
Yes.
Mr. Pizzi.
Yes.
Mr. Zangari.
Yes.
Okay, approved, all in favor.
Great. Okay, the next memorialization is 369 North 10th Street. Now that is the subdivision of that went down. So we'll be voting on going down.
Right, you're still voting yes to the resolution now.
Resolution is for going.
For denial.
Right.
Yes.
Can I get a motion?
Motion.
Can I get a second?
Second. Chairwoman Alvarado.
Yes.
Mr. Venero.
Yes.
Mr. Vanda.
Abstain.
Mr. Giordano.
Abstain.
Ms. Guaman. Mr. Guyan.
Yes.
Mr. Pizzi.
Yes.
Mr. Zangari.
Yes.
Okay, resolution approved.
We have some old business, 588 Washington Avenue, 590, 554 Washington Avenue, and 131 and 137 Greylock.
evening, everyone. My name is Dean Donatelli. I am the Redevelopment Council for the Township. We're going to be brief tonight. The chairwoman mentioned the property that you'll be considering tonight. Just as a matter of background, this board considered this property was to make a recommendation to the council to declare the property a non-condemnation area in need of redevelopment. Property, just generally speaking, and Alex Doherty is the planner, he's the township's planner. He's here with me tonight. He'll be testifying regarding the redevelopment plan for the property. But the property is on the corner of Greylock Avenue and Washington Avenue, catty corner from the gas station. So the last time this council, this board, saw this property was to make the recommendation to council to declare the property a non-condemnation area of redevelopment. Council did that on January 28th, 2025, by resolution, and with that resolution, it directed the town planner, Alex Doherty, to prepare a redevelopment plan. Part of that was introduced last month, and earlier, as part of the process, after the introduction, it's referred to this board for master plan consistency review, which is your role tonight. I communicated briefly with Joe Marinello. The role of the board tonight is to hear testimony of Alex Doherty and the public as to the redevelopment plan, which essentially is the zoning for the property, and make a recommendation as to the consistency of that redevelopment plan with the master plan. And that could be done by your authorization of Mr. Marinello to do correspondence to the board, to the council, summarizing the results of tonight's hearing. So at this point, unless there's any questions for me, I'll introduce Alex Doherty, the town's professional planner. Thank you.
Should have him sworn in. You want me to do it, or you want to? You do it. You're ready.
Can you raise your right hand? Do you solemnly swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Thanks.
Good evening, Alexander Dougherty, professional planner, Dougherty Planning and Development. I want to apologize for not being here on the blight study. I was traveling, so I do apologize. Good to see everybody. Before you is the redevelopment plan, as you heard, for 588 Washington Avenue at block 9001, lots 2801, 29, 30, and 31, corner of Washington and Greylock. So jumping into the meat and the potatoes of the report, the plan, if you will. Really, the substance starts on page 10 for those who have the plan in front of them. We'll jump right into the zoning. For this corner, to keep in consistent with the activity around the site as well as on Washington Avenue, we're dropping the permitted uses for a mixed-use multifamily with ground floor commercial uses. We'll jump to B on page 10. What kind of uses are we contemplating here on this site for a mixed-use establishment? Bakeries, butchers, delis, pizzerias, ice creams, cafes, luncheonettes. The theme here is heavily on neighborhood eateries, if you will, or communal gatherings, things that will draw your community to this property. So we really focus on food. And obviously for communal, we'll do some light neighborhood retail, art and fitness studios, indoor recreations. We can do banks, they serve the community without a drive-through, professional offices with that narrative. Examples being medical, legal, accounting, things that would otherwise service the community at large. But majority of these are focused on things that would draw the community here or serve the community as an amenity feature. When we flip the page or turn to the next, we'll talk about prohibited uses, things we certainly do not want to see on the site. From a plan perspective, auto-related services, repair shops, sales, auctions, the likes of that, private parking lots, self-storage facilities, lumber yards, junkyards, drugstores, tutoring, daycare, schools. When we look at this, hotels, we talk about accessory uses with this site. Generally speaking, amenities that would otherwise be functioning with the building, such as lobbies, leasing offices. We want to make sure we define it when we talk about what otherwise would be in a mixed-use building, so there's nothing outside the gray areas. But for purposes of the child care and tutoring daycare facilities, the accessory use for within the residential could be a childcare or pet boarding for the tenants that may have kids and or, pets, but would be accessory use to the otherwise residential component here. We'll get right into the bulk standards, if you will. At the bottom of page 11, we're looking at a potential, if the board sees fit, a plan that would allow up to 136 units. We say that because last time I was here, the board made it very clear any future redevelopment plan needs to ensure that we can park one car per one bedroom. So with that being said, a big concern is these units producing, larger and having, 3, 4 bedroom, 2 bedroom. So predominantly what you see here is ones and twos and studios, predominantly ones and studios here. So with studios, they are a bedroom, so that's where the uptick is. Here with the vehicle count, maximum percentage of 2 bedrooms allowed, 6%. Keeping under 10, so very limited in 2 bedrooms, so everything is going to be a 1 or a studio. So we're looking for, in theory here, this site is fairly large, it's on a predominant corner, it's kind of the way I describe it, it drops off right in this area. So we're looking to kind of bring what we call in the planning world disposable income, walkable walls that are going to feed your downtown businesses and bring young professionals that necessarily can't get their first home. They don't need a 2-bedroom or a 3-bedroom apartment. That studio, that young business professional that's otherwise going to shop and dine and add to the community. So we want to emphasize this is predominantly a 1-bedroom and studio development, maximum allotted if needed, to have that diversified choice of housing for a growing community. No more than 6% for 2 bedrooms. You want to really limit that 2-bedroom count here. With the commercial space that mixed use on the ground floor, the commercial component these days is hot and cold. We don't need a brick and mortar retail to open a business per se. That's why we really don't want to emphasize on communal gatherings, eatery establishments, but the building footprint's fairly large, the site's fairly large, so depending on the prospective tenant, they may not need that whole first floor commercial space. So maximum number allowed for commercial, because commercial does bring with it its own parking, demands. Maximum number of potential commercial tenants here will be 2 tenants, but there'll be a minimums for a single commercial tenant for 21,000 square feet. So that's what we're looking at. We want to really ensure that we're not getting chopped up commercial space with multiple tenants, no more than 2 commercial tenants on this facility. We're really looking for a cornerstone development here, keystone, transformative use that really can bring vibrancy, because the way we look at development, I think you need commercial tenant that occupies the building, let's say potentially with 100, 136 tenants. Those tenants would obviously service that commercial need. So we want to ensure that we have a prominent, larger commercial establishment that really can anchor that site and accentuate that corner. So when we talk about the design features, we made sure to require nothing but the best when it comes to facade visual treatments of that. But the site is large. The corner is a prominent corner. For building coverage, lot coverage, we're allowing the plan to go up to 100%. That caveat is we need that roof space to be green, to add that green back and enhance that corner. We see this as an opportunity to maximize the space, the square footage for the building, but though we are losing that lot coverage and that open space, this plan, as we go through it, will have a tremendous amount of open space on the roof, which at the height we're proposing could potentially have uninterrupted views and great viewings of the downtown and obviously of the city skyline. But for purposes of such a large space, we want to ensure that everything is parked right, everything can happen, loading, in that regard. So everything is pretty much baked into the plan. The building coverage or the minimum rooftop landscape area needs to be 14,500 square feet. So the landscaping is going to happen on the roof. This plan is really not necessarily taking away from the visual appeal. The building itself hopefully will be that visual appeal, and that natural outdoor element will be that of the rooftop. With that being said, we do have some minimum landscaping for the outdoor areas, which is clearly defined separate from the roof. So there will be plenty of landscaping on the buildings in that regards. With the way the property is situated, the topography is unique. So with that, there is some courtyard opportunities and ledges for the residents and terrace. We want to ensure when we talk about terrace, as a planner, I do not like the balconies on prominent roads and corners. So the two prominent corners, there will be no balconies in this plan, nothing but a Juliet balcony. But the side profiles in the rear, as it opens out and gets higher, those sides of those buildings, we do foresee the ability to have some outdoor space. So that outdoor space as well, excluding the roof, would need to be 17,000 square feet. So when we talk about landscaping in general, 17,000 square feet plus 14,500 square feet, it should be ample landscape on site to offset that building and lot coverage. With that being said, the total required spaces for parking, we're going to need 167. When we look at the lot, when we look at what we're proposing, 136 units at a minimum, it's going to require a substantial amount of parking plus accommodate that commercial space as well. So on-site would be needed to be 167 parking stalls. Commercial is one space per 500 square feet, residential one space per bedroom. With that, guest parking, 10% of the total residential units, 10% of that count will be set aside for parking. Tandem parking spaces shall not be counted towards the required parking. If they can provide tandem, that's great, but that's not going to go towards the requirement. And as well as the EV, we have that in there as well. The EV will not, that additional will not go towards that vehicle count. They will count as one stall. That final number has to be excluding the EV. So with that, we're trying to reactivate this side of town and try to limit the ability in auto demand. We are going to require that for minimum bike storage, 0.5 bike storage per unit. So there'll be several opportunities for tenants to have bikes and to commute around town and enjoy Washington Ave corridor without having need for the car, and they can ride their bikes. But that will be a requirement to have that option for those for mobility purposes. For loading for the commercial, we'll need a minimum loading area for one space. Loading shall be restricted to the Greylock Avenue. There's no curb cuts along Washington. Greylock Avenue kind of dead ends, as we know, at the train tracks. That is a physical barrier. So all the access for the site will be off of Greylock. And given topography, it provides a unique opportunity where we can have one level of parking here, as we go down the hill, another garage there, as you get to the bottom, another garage. So that's where we're able to add so much parking, because we could essentially park underneath the building in 3 separate tiered layers. So with that being said, we'll kind of get right into the nuts and bolts of the plan. It really does back the potential developer or redeveloper, but it ensures the public interest. It talks about flood mitigation, stormwater management controls, green infrastructure, sustainable development practices. Things are going to ensure this is a better quality development, and obviously we have to comply with all regulations as set forth. The goal here for the plan is to anchor and accentuate this corner with a very premium building from the street, at the public driving by, at the red light, at the intersection. What an amazing building. Something unique and identifiable that you know where this is at. And we want to ensure that the premium doesn't stop on the exterior facades and the treatment of the building, but also the establishment for that commercial. Something that we hope will fill the 136 potential units. But with that being said, we also ensure that every unit will have the washer dryer, standard shared terrace for the residents for some of these potential units. As we talk about the ones abutting Greylock and Washington will not have a terrace, and I referenced that outdoor space. Shared terrace for shall be a minimum of 34,000 square feet, and include soft plantings and lightings in that regard. So the amenities interior to the residential portion, lounge rooms, kitchen, kitchenettes, fitness centers, saunas, additional game rooms, business centers, and evolving residential amenities. Every unit in common amenity space shall be provided with central air conditioning, exclusive covered patio spaces for residents, minimum 7,000 square feet. So those that do have the covered patios will be a minimum of 7,000 square feet. for, I think that's really going to be for commercial, exclusive covered patio space for residents. So the rear of that building is so big and it's a covered area, the way we're envisioning it, that we would love for the eateries to have the ability to dine outside when the weather is nice, but because that lot is so wide, we want to ensure that the residents also have that covered patio amenity that in the back of the building is where we envision that. So at a minimum, the commercial space cannot take all of that. We want the residents as well that live there to enjoy that. So a minimum of 7,000 square feet will be required to set aside for that. Again, minimum on-site parking, 167 stalls. We also talked about the garage entrances to really help be distinctive as far as if someone does visit the site for a nice restaurant, upscale night out, they know which garage to go to. The residential garage doors, we're asking to be slightly smaller than the commercial, 22 feet for that double drive aisle access, and 24, a little wider. Again, we have to have that loading zone, that pick up and drop off in that regards. And then if we look at the height elevation for that bottom one, that door will be a little bit larger, so we clearly identify that that's a more of a commercial entrance. With that being said, the drive aisle circulation standard, 24 inches throughout the parking garages. And then for signs, we certainly do not want a premium building designed and required to be over-branded signage. So maximum of 3 vertical sign plates shall be located on the building's primary facades. We have Washington and we have a very long street frontage on Greylock. So no more than 3 premium signs that identify the building. In that regards. Now this is a corner building, so one of the design features we baked in there is to really design this building to recognize it's on a corner property. So we're talking an overhang requirement, primary interest is on that corner right there. So you can come in, you can go to the commercial, or you can come in, the residential is on Washington. So any commercial uses will activate that corner at that light. The residents can obviously enter through the garage, and as they see fit, elevator, stairwell, but the primary entrance for the residents will be nestled off to the side on Washington. Commercial entrances have to be on that corner, and this building design will have to have some kind of design feature as an overhang to again, accentuate that corner. Total maximum principal building signage for Washington Ave, no more than 115 square feet. Again, we don't want to over-brand this development, this potential building. Total maximum principal building signage for Greylock, 100 square feet. So we're not expecting a lot of signs, and we don't want big signs. The building, the facade will speak for itself. You're going to want to know what's going on over there. That's the idea. So with that being said, the way also we want to design this on Greylock Avenue, the building footprint could potentially go up to 0 lot line, but we want to ensure if there is a restaurant here, that the restaurant on the side, that exterior wall could be folded back so you can have almost like a railing and you can eat outside. So we are asking for some interior design features as well to really bring, hopefully with a prominent tenant that can really add some excitement to that corner. So we don't want roof-mounted signs, flashing animated signs, internally illuminated channel letters or neon signs or billboards. So nothing but classy signage is what we see here in minimal signs. Less is more here. So with that being said, we do have your standard streetscape and pedestrian circulation enhancements here with the trees, the bike racks, the stamped concrete, the boilerplate redevelopment 101 public enhancement. That whole corner from the public realm will also be required to be enhanced as we do with all of our redevelopment projects. And again, as I said, it will require rooftop amenities, rooftop green element features, mechanicals will be on the roof, and all the glazing and glass, if you will, is not to be tinted or glazed over. We want transparency so you can see the restaurants, you can see the eateries, you can see those commercial permitted uses that will otherwise drive the community there to again promote that excitement. So design-wise, we really back them in this plan to produce nothing but a premium building. We have some flexibility. They can go up to 136 because if we do that from the height perspective of the building, again, that topography, it's right in line with what we've seen with some of the prior heights, but because of that topography, it gets a little higher in the back. So with that being said, again, it allows for the parking situation to play out, but for purposes of the height, and we don't want billboards, we certainly want to keep the residents away from the edges, we want to keep them towards the back where they can capture city views. The height of the building, I do apologize, the permitted allowable height of the building, just flip back to that page. Because it's topography, we're looking at a height of 5 stories on Washington, which is pretty much in character with a lot of what's on Washington. We didn't want to be too overpowering, but enough to be beautiful and exciting. But as we go down Greylock Avenue, because of that topography, it does jump up to 8 stories if we keep a flat roof. And we felt keeping that 8 stories gives those potential residents the opportunity to capture those views and remove themselves from the traffic and the noise that you would hear on Washington, and have that kind of, oasis in the clouds. Because 8 stories off of Washington would be too much, so 5 brings to 8 along the back. So we think it's comparable in size and scale, 5 stories along Washington. With that, I would like to encourage those on the board who have it to see the concept that we were looking to do in the appendix. Premium, facade treatment, something that's distinctive, an anchor, something that's rememberable, kind of a gateway, if you will, here at this side of town. So we are looking at something a little different, something distinctive, something you haven't seen. So we're asking for a lighter hue and facade color, a whiter look, if you will, that ivory look with natural accenting colors, blacks, browns, earth tones. And again, when we look at this concept, there's those signs we were talking about, minimal 3 building signage. So we show them here in this concept, we'll see the overhang on the corner, and obviously commercial tenants also need signage. So again, we want minimal signage. The building speaks for itself to draw you in. So with that, we are here for a consistency review. Being in front of the board on other redevelopment projects, I want to emphasize, I think we are consistent with what we're looking to do as far as the community's concerns, parking, where people park, traffic, oversized rooms. These are all open floor plans. There are no lofts. That stuff is prohibited, as it would be on any redevelopment project. This is a straight down the middle, 136 units. Either a studio or a bedroom, and 6% of that will be that of a 2-bedroom. No dens, lofts, offices, with respects to the internal programming. So we are here for the consistency review. Is it consistent with the goals and visions of the community, the master plan, and how does it relate to the surrounding master plans and the state plan? So with that being said, this is relationship to local objectives. It's going to be on page 22, where we kind of start to draw that distinction here and overlap. The objectives here and local objectives: preserve and enhancing Washington Avenue's identity. So we are trying to enhance that with a premium building while keeping it at scale of 5 stories. So we believe we hit that mark. Stimulating economic opportunity. That 136 units, predominantly one studios, hopefully generates and jumpstarts some economic activity and meets those goals, as well as providing commercial amenities as well, and hopefully employment opportunities. Capitalizing on the geographic advantages to proximity to New York. Again, the building's at 5, but off of Greylock Avenue, it's 8, so we're hopeful that we can capture that geographic advantage with views of the city, as well as bringing young professionals closer to the city with option choices for housing. And then fostering creativity and design. So we really do emphasize creativity and design being different, being distinctive. This is a one-off project. We want to showcase Washington Avenue. I think a premium building with the requirements for facade treatment and details will certainly showcase Washington Avenue, and attracting new residents that would otherwise support the overreaching goals for the municipality. So again, supporting local commercial development and aligning with the master plan for smart growth principles. We are asking for sustainable projects, green roofs, and a lot of things that we don't typically see on larger development projects. This project, though big, does come with a lot of green space and open space. So when we turn the page on to page 24, relationship to other plans, when we talk about the township itself, we believe This is, will meet the idea to continue and encourage a wide variety of housing types at a range and scale and rental levels so that families at all income levels can be housed in Belleville, to provide for residential growth at current densities and to permit higher density development in limited target areas. This is Washington Ave. This is kind of a dead end back there. We're kind of the tail end of Washington Ave. We believe this density is appropriate. It's kind of off by itself. And then again, when we look at the overall, to continue and encourage a balance of land uses to include diversified residential and commercial areas, service the community and nearby communities, having a premium, hopefully commercial space here at this location is something other communities will be talking about as well, and have that as outside amenity, but particularly those for Belleville, and provide for more studio options for a growing community, getting your kid out of your basement, and those who are looking for their first job. So we believe having those studios brings it a little bit more of an affordable range than we typically see on larger one-bedrooms and two-bedroom units. So when we look at this overall, we've incorporated sustainable initiatives to the green building. We improved the parking standards. That was a concern the last time I was here. When we look at this as a vacant, unutilized site now, we're putting that in productive use, bringing that back to the administration, and improving the existing streetscape aesthetics and the walkability. If anyone's been to the site, the corridor, there's sidewalks that are missing, sidewalks that are broken, there's a lot of curb cuts, so we're really going to enhance that and bring that in that way. That whole area really does tie in and continues that continuation from the public realm. So improving the streetscape, where there is no street trees, there will be plenty of street trees. Again, that's the standard redevelopment protocol here, the streetscape enhancement. So one of the things we wanted to do, and that was called out, was there's a lack of brand recognition of the township itself. So when we look at this, we really want to brand that this is for the community. This is theirs, when we talk about this is nowhere else. We don't see projects like this across the state, at least from my perspective, that are really putting a premium on design and facade. We see a lot of the architects coming that are really just putting the same kind of projects throughout the state. So we're looking to brand this site, this building, as a one-off, much like what's next door, something unique that's rememberable, especially as you're driving past it, whether alone living in there or dining in there. Just what a different building, a beautiful building. I know it's, beauty is in the eye of the beholder, but I think having a prominent, distinctive building can certainly argue that it's beautiful. So we want to be able to brand this corner that this is Belleville, that this is the community, that this is those that live there, they call home. When we look at the regional plans here for Essex County, maintaining a safe and efficient roadway system, we believe we hit that mark as well by eliminating the curb cuts on Washington and providing that access on Greylock to help reduce the conflict of pedestrians on the sidewalk as well as vehicles that are traveling on Washington Avenue. So we increase the use of mass transit. We are trying to promote other modes of transportation other than cars. So we are trying to get that in there for a way of the biking and walking and bringing that. We look at this to provide for walking and cycling, which also promotes healthy communities, complete streets as well, which is a regional Essex County goal. And connectivity of all modes of transportation. We believe we have that opportunity here by bringing residents right to the corridor. They're right there. So when we talk about access to transit opportunities that may not be by walking or biking or busing, they're right here on the major corridor to get there quicker and sooner. So they have direct access to other mass transit opportunities in, let's say, a development or housing that's in a residential subdivision type of neighborhood. So we believe we are hitting those marks. When we look at the state plan, this is part of that PA1 area, that plan for redevelopment, infill development. Again, this is a vacant lot. We believe we are hitting the goals of the state plan as well, and this is on page 25. So from a planning standpoint, we are here for a consistent review of the goals and visions of Belleville, the region, the county, and the state as well. But we are hitting those marks. But I do know the details of the project we need to talk about, and we need to get to the nuts and bolts of that. That's why I opened with, what is this plan? What are we looking at as plan? Again, these are max allowed. You can't go any more than 5 stories. You can't go any more than 136 units. Doesn't mean that's what will manifest. But this is, if we do 5 stories and we look at the area of the building, this is what we see feasible, and in the back of the plan, the concept and layout, generally speaking, that this is what we are envisioning as far as the room size and layouts and the way the parking would work in that regards. And we believe we can certainly park well in excess of 136 vehicles here. There will be no need to park on the public road here with this project. So with that, I'll conclude. I believe the consistency for this plan is right with the county, with the site, with this part of town, and scale with Washington Avenue, as well as the county and state.
A question about the 5 stories on Washington, and it's 3 levels of parking. Is there a prohibition of any residential below street level on
Yes, I
Washington?
believe there is, yes. Because you can't, it's kind of baked in by definition, ground floor commercial, residential above.
Right.
So by default, that ground floor has to be at Washington, so residential can never go below that.
People get creative.
If the board requests, I can certainly add that in
Well,
there.
I think what you're saying is consistent with what I heard. I just wanted to make
Yes.
sure that we're not having somebody come up with it, because of that area does drop down behind Washington, right? That's what allows you to do that terrace parking.
So by design elements, that the commercial access has to be at that 90, that corner, you really not going to see the commercial in the back of Washington Avenue going up 3 floors to make a hallway or corridor, if you will. So by design, I can certainly maybe tighten it up and make it expressly stated, there should be no residential below grade of Washington. But I think by designing it and the way it's written, it's going to be virtually impossible to put a commercial unit at the bottom of Greylock Avenue.
I have a quick comment. Did you take into consideration the building that's going to be across the street?
I did. So that's why we were looking for a premium design. That's why we wanted to keep it to 5 and be distinctive, knowing what was already approved at the gas station, what projects already kind of happening across from the motorcycle mall, and that density, having a really beautiful building, I think is only going to tie that all together. And then that's why we really want to emphasize the communal neighborhood eatery establishments as the suggested permitted uses. Because that population on the other project has to eat somewhere as well. So though that's a bigger project, they can walk there or ride the bike or vice versa. There's a shopping center just up the street. So that's where the whole biking and that comes in. But we're confident that this population, with this proposed plan and this building layout, would be complementary to the other projects that have been going on and what's already there by way of strip malls and retail.
Right?
I guess roughly, we're looking at about 175 units an acre. We're at 136 on .78 of an acre.
I didn't do the math on the density per acre.
It's kind of been the standard for redevelopment, somewhere around there, 165, something like that.
It's just funny serving on this board all these years. When I first got on, it was 12 units an acre. So we went to 12, and now we're up to 175.
Remember, those 12 units were 3-bedroom units.
Right.
These are studios at 550 square feet versus 3-bedroom units at 1,500 square feet. So we're chopping things up, and as we chop up, we do increase densities, but we reduce the possibility of 3-bedroom, larger units. They're all small.
At the end, you still got a lot more bedrooms than you would have. And I think in a 2-block area, I don't know the math, 800 units? Between Restanetti, Casillo, Ronnie's gas station, this, you're looking probably 800 units.
You're creating an economic unit, meaning it will be able to sustain.
I know it's economic, but just, I mean, when you
One
drive,
at a time.
when you drive through our town, it's just chaotic. Belleville Avenue, it's,
Well, I mean, Belleville Avenue is a major, again, it's a major thoroughfare for the region. That's Route 7. So people come down there from Montclair and further out, going into Jersey City. That area, we could delete Belleville, and it would still be busy. If you want it to be not busy, delete the region. So that's kind of what happens.
It's nothing that the Belleville could do, but I really think that sooner or later, we need a regional plan. I mean, every town around us just can't cram as many units as humanly possible into any empty space and say, this is good for the residents that are already living here. I just can't see that. And it's going to blow up sooner or later. I mean, Bloomfield, it's just like, when does it stop?
Well, and that's the interesting part, because the towns that develop will get the economic benefits, the tax dollars, the wealth, the whatever you wanna call it. And the towns that refuse to will just get hit with higher taxes and all the same traffic that is gonna come from all the other towns.
Until we
So-
start having to build schools. I mean, this project is pretty good with the studios and the one bedrooms. That I'm in favor of, and the parking
Yeah.
is better than most.
I will just emphasize that the conversation on density is something as a planner that appears before other boards on other projects, smaller projects. Density is something where we define it to a unit, but that unit may have 3 or 4 bedrooms. So, or it may be a bunch of 1 bedrooms, and they say, oh, you're over on density, and I've seen developers just merge it to a 2-bedroom, and the density variance goes away. So density, I don't think really captures what last time we spoke, which was the bedroom issue. So we really emphasized, the parking related to the bedrooms. So, these could be 2 bedrooms, that unit count could be lower, but the yield, the physical people that would otherwise be leaving the site, would otherwise be the same, 2 people to a bed essentially. But again, this is a maximum 5, maximum 8, it could be designed slightly different.
Well, right, you're at the maximum right now.
Yeah. Can't go any more than what's on paper right here.
I know, that's what I'm saying.
And what I see on here, I see almost 200 parking spaces on here.
Yeah, when we look at the floor plan and the way you have to have the circulation in and out, the conceptual design shows that we can park and still meet those drive aisles. There's a lot of dead space there, so we can certainly fit a lot more parking with that tandem. I think it is closer to a little over 200 parking you could possibly be here.
So even though, are you saying that they're gonna propose additional parking spaces above and beyond the 167, that's just the minimum non-tandem that they can have?
Yeah, but
They could have tandem above and beyond.
You could, that tandem would bring parking north of 136 parking stalls.
Well, it's 167 where you have.
Yeah, because we have commercial and gas, but I'm saying
But
that,
then in the appendix, you have, from whatever it's showing on the actual floor plans, 190, almost 200.
yeah, almost
parking
200.
spaces.
So when I say that, the 136 unit, I'm only looking at the units, because there is additional parking required for the guest and the commercial, but if there's 136 units, and there is a 1-bedroom, let's say, a relationship, a couple, right, I have a car, she has a car, that's 2 cars, and we're doing it per bedroom, so we want to be mindful of that it's per the bedroom, but they may bring with it 2 additional cars, so we have the opportunity to add more by tandem, but I did not want somebody to come before this board and say, we meet that, and there's a whole bunch of tandem. Everybody has their own parking stall. And if you do have an additional a car with you upon moving in, that tandem space is certainly available by way of square footage of the building.
That's a big plus.
And just to remind everybody, the status that we're at now is where we are making, we're gonna report back to the mayor and council. And then the mayor and council will adopt the plan. And somewhere down the road, hopefully, if this is the route that we go, there'll be a developer who comes back to us with a site plan that has to conform to the maximums allowed in this. The developer conceivably could come back and say, I want to build 4 stories, or I want to.
Correct.
So, I know typically they're usually asking for more,
Much
but
Yeah.
when you get into the nuts and bolts of designing the building, sometimes you find out that it's too expensive to do it one way or another. So, I'm just saying, this is the step before that. The next step will be somebody coming before us who's named a redeveloper, just like we were here last month with the Chipotle and multi-use building. Somebody's gonna come to us and say, hey, I've designed this as best I can in conformity with the plan. And sometimes they have 1 or 2, couple of variances that are needed, but we're not at the stage where we're actually looking at an actual building yet. It's just more the general zoning requirements are what's going to be allowed at this site. So, there might be things when it comes back to us that are slightly different.
I want to emphasize the commercial space that we are proposing as a maximum is 4,500 square feet. So 1 tenant could occupy nearly 4,500 square feet of retail space. But if we cut that, we can cut it down and add 2. We don't really want to add too many more than 2. We're looking for that anchored establishment that really draws the community here, that they can call their own. But 4,500 square feet is fairly large. That that predominant Greylock Avenue all the way back to the corner. We're seeing that as an opportunity for them.
Is that gonna be open, Greylock Ave, going east?
I know there's some preliminary conversation that there may be an opportunity to rise. Yes, this is.
Mr. Donatello?
Yeah, so I want to address Mr. Madero's question, because I know where you're coming from, right? I know where you're, so let's just step back, because, I mean, in terms of the context that we're in, Joe put it great, but I also want to, the purpose of the meeting is what you're talking about, right? Is what the master plan says. So, as I understand your town's master plan, you are all the authors of it, this board, is that where there will be growth in the, whether you may agree or disagree, okay, I'm just telling you what it says, not my opinion. Policy for the town, and Mr. Harretts could tell you this, the CME can tell you this, has been where the town's going to grow. It's going to grow along the Washington Avenue corridor. That's where the higher density residential projects are going to go. So I hear you. There are more units, but if you either, as a town, believe me, I represent towns that have no growth, which is not good, and then you have too much growth, which is also not good. No, there are, I can tell you, they have growth, but not enough to kind of address either affordable housing on site, you don't have one, but, or just sustain their retail establishments. But the point I'm trying to make is your master plan currently encourages higher density development along, at Ronnie's gas station, across from the motorcycle mall, at this intersection. So that's what we're doing here. So, and I understand you just heard Roche, 11 Franklin, and that's the higher density project, but that's, I think, a little different location. But I think the policy behind the master plan is to put your higher density, really, or taller buildings. Initially, there were 8 stories along. I think the underlying zoning permits even taller than
yes.
5 stories. So it's not, so you compete you compete as a town and as a board, you compete with trying to address your growth, because you want to grow, and you want to have the appropriate infrastructure. You want to have your redevelopers funding a fund where you can build like Plan Zone Park, where you can build your field, where you can build it, you can get a shuttle. So I just don't want you to think, Ray, that we just say, what was said earlier, what's the maximum number? Believe me, it can be many, many more units than what you're seeing. I don't disagree with you. This is a high-density project. Most of them are, as Brian had said. But that's the policy you have to grapple with. So are we going to have growth? If the answer is yes, and I think most towns will say, let's have growth because we don't want to stagnate. Let's get, Brian called it, income unit, right? Those are residents are going to, shop at your stores. So I wanted to address that because it's a good, you're not wrong, you're definitely not wrong, and it's a good concern. The question for the board is this yes, Ray's right, it's a high density project, but is this the right, is that what your master plan says? If you don't think it should say that, change it. But right now, this is consistent with your master plan, that's the idea. Now, if this were on, I know it hasn't come before you because we've been eating it back, like Passaic Avenue, there's a high density project that wants to go forward. The town does not want high density on Passaic Avenue, so it's not like everyone, because I want to just give you a sense, it's easy for us to come here once a month or once every 6 months and show you this, give you this project. So I just wanted to put that in context, that's all. Right, I'm not wrong, and neither are you. And the other question about the grade crossing on Greylock Avenue, that's also a policy question. At the moment, you know that the town, I can report back to you, and Mr. Graziano is in here, Councilman Graziano, he can report to you, but I will because I know that and Tom maybe can give you the color and detail on it, but we're working with Norfolk Southern to address the parking along the railroad right away, the inactive railroad right away.
The illegal parking.
Right, and Brian can tell you too, obviously. That's the first step. The next step is, again, a policy question. Does the town want to create a grade crossing at the end of Greylock Avenue to open that up to the valley, which had been...
Well, I'm only saying because now there's only one way in and out there.
Totally disagree with you, but that's not a decision for the town. It's like, I can't, it's very, very difficult, I'll just say, to get a railroad like Norfolk
No, I
Southern.
understand that.
Because of the liability, and then some say, oh, it's not as easy as this. Oh, you open up another one, you close another one, and it's not that at all. It's like brain damage, and that's the last thing they want to do, because the more people you have crossing a rail, the more liability there is. But that being said, we're working with Marie Shenko. She's really done a great job with and Graz has also, and Brian, with the railroad right away, getting that parking off, because it's just, the town doesn't like it. The next step after that, so as to not blend the two, is unrelated to this, but I want you to know what I
We looked at it.
And we may be able to get that done, but we're going to try, and if it's a policy question, decision that the town and this board wants that to happen, we're going to see what Norfolk Southern says. But I just wanted to add.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with Washington Avenue. We have to have the development Washington Avenue where it's at. I mean, Union Avenue, I'm not in favor of developing that, but Washington Avenue. Do we have a bus yet? Is there a bus route on Washington Avenue or not?
There's a couple bus routes on Washington Avenue. You talking about shuttle? Like our own little
New
shuttle
Jersey
service?
Transit, is there anything yet, or?
Yeah, there's a bunch of transits. Some of them go down to the Park and Ride in Clifton. Others will go down to the Broad Street Station. There are some bus stops now that I believe that are taking over for the decamp bus that used to be there along Rutgers. That's supposed to take people to Port Authority. So it's not a bad thing. I think in the future we are trying to come up with some sort of shuttle bus of our own that's going to take people up and down the avenue. Not just people living in developments, but also kind of a subsidized thing that'll take residents also down to the train stations and get them into New York City.
By way of policy internally, which kind of, I stop here after if this is approved or not, but if a redevelopment is approved, it's really more policy and legal in redevelopment agreements, because there's higher density, there's sometimes negotiations to say, because you're bringing those people here, this percentage is a fee we require, so we can buy that bus and staff that bus driver. So there is opportunities to bring those things to fruition, but so typically, not always they're tied to larger projects, but by virtue of the, I wanted to say, the 2001 Master Plan Reexamination Report, they recommended specific changes to the township's master plan, and one of them, they identify some of the ongoing issues in the recommendations. One of the things they identify is there's a lack of new housing opportunity that appeal to current market demands, and that contains access to the range of amenities and services that are customary to urban living. They're very limited. So we felt, instead of detached housings or 2 or 3 bedrooms and multifamily, a lot more studios and heavy on the amenities, but also drawing the facade as a premium.
So let me just add to Brian's point. What does that mean? So when and if this property is developed, there'll be a redevelopment agreement signed with the redeveloper. They are required to make a contribution for several things, one of which, including your Affordable Housing Trust Fund, which, if you don't know, it has about $3.8 million in it. And the council is trying to find a way to deploy that in a way that's consistent with the Uniform Housing Affordability Controls. You can't just give it out, and there's income requirements and so on. So there's that benefit, because we have contributions that we're working. We could work to upgrade the deficient affordable housing in town. Second, there's a recent case law that came out that says they're entirely legal as long as they're related to a redevelopment plan. They further the redevelopment plan of community benefit payments. That's what each project that you can't do with just a planning board project. If it went before the planning board, like the red fire truck, it's got to be have a direct nexus to the planning board, to the site plan application. With redevelopment, you're allowed to do it. The towns are allowed to do it if it has a stated purpose and it furthers the redevelopment plan and the master plan. So what Brian was saying earlier is when we have these, if and when we have and you approve a developer that comes in here, they're going to pay a significant sum to the town for community benefits. Again, Lansing Park, that was paid for mainly by the bridge project, the warehouse on Main Street, the first one. So those are good things. So you balance that, right? You balance that with okay, so that's a good thing, and then
that wouldn't happen if it were just a planning board project, and it's hard to get, planning board project, maybe they want a little bit more density so they can give the town those community benefits. So that's the balance that we try to,
That actually has the same thing with the Belmont project that we did, that they gave us money to pave a parking lot, which we still have the money. Just because we didn't do St. Anthony's Church doesn't mean we didn't use the money. Money's still there. We'll use that towards the parking lot we are gonna get. The last project on the corner of Greylock and Washington, they're going to help us start upgrading that center island going up Greylock Parkway from Washington Avenue to Floyd Street. So we're continuing to come up with new funds to upgrade our infrastructure and beautify our town, upgrade our fields, to give our residents a better quality of life. It's part of the course, and it's hugely helpful for us. I mean, we're sunk in infrastructure costs.
Anything we can do to limit the cars on the road, I mean, the buses, it's just, the cars are overwhelming the town.
I think I think Brian's looking at your.
That's the shuttle bus.
One minute,
The shuttle bus.
one at a time, please.
The shuttle bus, yeah, that's one of the things we were looking at.
One of the things I emphasize is the car, the traffic, the shopping mall that's right up the street, the retail center. Typically, if you live outside of town, you're gonna get in your car and you're gonna drive there. This little pocket, being that it's about a mile from the Nutley border, this population and the projects that are around that don't necessarily need to get in a car. They can walk there, or ride their bike there, or let's say a shuttle's there. But this population is around what otherwise is a nucleus that draws, is a magnet that draws vehicles there. We're already putting the people there as close to we can to those places that do draw high traffic demand.
And that'll help us get those better storefronts too, because there will be more foot traffic right in front of the store with more disposable income, which means they'll go more often. A steakhouse can't stay open if the people in the neighborhood can't go to it every 3 times a week. You need to have that flow of people. We always talk about wanting to get these nice restaurants and this and that. If we don't have that in the close vicinity, we don't create that economic node, we don't get what we want.
I agree, I'd love to see good retail, but you go up Bloomfield Avenue in Montclair, they got a bunch of new buildings, and that retail's been empty for 2 or 3 years now. There's a big, brand-new building, I mean, who's got more foot traffic than Montclair? Just hard to rent.
They
I mean,
do
I'd
have
love
a
to
lot of
see
good
it.
retail though. They do have a lot of good retail though.
It's not in these new buildings, I'll tell you that.
Maybe right across the street, probably cheaper.
Keeps them open.
We can only, you're right, you can only plan for it.
Right.
There's stuff that was done in the early 2000s, when the big 2008 crash, right? They built mixed-use projects, and some of the vacant space, like Western New York, for example, they have beautiful promenades, right on the Hudson River. Just, you're right, but all we can do is plan for it and insist that they create the opportunity for that.
Tina, is there any way we could get in contact with the county to readdress Franklin Avenue and Mill? That light is horrendous. There was no problem, they put the light in and it just shut down.
Yeah, didn't you talk about that at the?
Well, Tom talked about Mill Street putting a turning in, but I'm talking about just coming down Franklin Avenue. It just stops dead by the Wawa. It's only a left turn lane now, and one lane goes straight. And nobody makes a left turn, and it backs up to Stephen Crane Village.
Yeah, the county really screwed up the road when they made it one lane, not the 2 that was there.
So what you talked about for 11 Franklin, was that addressed,
That's
No.
crossing it.
Okay.
Yeah.
This is just going straight. If you're going down straight down Franklin
In
Avenue.
front?
From Newark, heading into Bell.
Yeah, I got you.
They just made it a 1 lane. It just screws up everything because everybody stops, you can't get in, you're stuck there, and
Yeah,
I
I
Goes
just,
goes from 2 lanes to
Yeah.
1 lane, to 2 lanes to
Yeah.
1 lane.
what was
Yeah, it's crazy.
do we know the reason for it?
I guess they felt it was, I don't know, either safer or helped traffic, but it made it 10 times worse. And even if you're coming from Nutley, it stops
It's-
by number 10 school.
I know that, I don't know it all that well as you, obviously, but I thought, I know, that's where we really, and I know Joe was involved. I know this board, we really, and Brian, obviously, and Councilman, Deputy Mayor, we really held the Roche developer's feet to the fire because we know you guys have been waiting and the public's been waiting for that, it was intersection.
Yeah, that'll help the Mill
Some of
Street,
it.
the Mill Street.
I don't know anything, I know very little about what you're saying, I'm willing.
If you want to know about it,
Yeah.
go there
Oh, yeah.
7:30 in the morning
Yeah.
or
I
3:15
don't doubt it.
in the afternoon, either way.
I didn't mean to doubt it, I just, I'm,
I go to school 4 every day.
Uh-huh.
It takes me 15 minutes, which normally should take me 4 minutes. in 15 minutes is because if you don't keep up with this traffic and get cut off, I mean, it's ridiculous.
That's something.
It has to be the stupidest plan I have ever seen on a roadway. They went from no traffic to making it a bumper to bumper.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous. I would love to have gotten paid for that project.
I mean, we understand it's a county
You don't
project.
need to
No, I
be
got
an
it. Yeah, we
engineer to
don't have
do that
Yeah,
project.
and that's a good point, just so everyone knows. I mean, we don't have, the town doesn't have jurisdiction over the county road, so we can jump up and, like, it's like
I
Washington
think we
Avenue.
need to jump up.
No, right, well, I can
Well,
tell
Tom,
someone. I mean,
maybe
like
Tom
Washington-
can do
Yeah,
that?
Tom can do that.
I'd like
I
to
can jump
corrupt
beside
it tonight
somebody.
if we can.
It's like Washington Avenue, right? I mean, I hear everyone, the council, you guys, the public, it's a mess, right? But to go try to tell the DEP or the DOT that you don't want them to.
Now,
But it's
It's
under
called-
construction and you can kind of think at least,
Yeah.
it's gonna get a little better when it stops. But Franklin, there is no
Nothing,
construction, it's not getting better, it's getting worse. So if we can get in touch with the county.
Yeah, well, I tell you what, I'm gonna ask Brian Van to take off his planning board hat, put on his council town manager hat, and we'll bring it up at the next redevelopment meeting if that's something that.
And go on a garbage day when you're.
No, I don't doubt it, I can think.
And the garbage truck is stopped in the right lane, I'm stuck all the way down by the firehouse.
So for the record, Mr. Vanda, will you come back to the next meeting with some sort of response?
Yeah, I'll ask again. I said it once actually, we could say it at the redevelopment meeting, but I did make a comment where we were on some sort of email with the county engineers, and I said I think they need to reimagine all Franklin Avenue. I'm very offended.
I have a question, getting back to our original plan here, about the railroad. Is the railroad being used?
No.
Okay, so wouldn't that be an easy type of
I mean,
thing to?
I went to meetings a couple of years ago, they were looking at putting light rail on, that's called the Newark Industrial Line, from Clifton to Newark. So I don't know where it stands now, but they are looking at it.
Well, wouldn't it be easier now to negotiate using that as
You
a
would think so.
pass-through?
We're gonna-
Because it's not being used.
That's gonna start, sir. Because. as I
They need
mentioned-
that there for this project.
I agree.
It's
And in fact, it wasn't mentioned, but in fact, we also incorporated into this redevelopment plan, because it was said, oh, it's a dead-end street, and it's a mess, but a long-term vision of potential is to open up Greylock Avenue. And so we wanted to make it a pedestrian-friendly, it's a steep grade, obviously, right? And it bucks the parking bucks the grade. But, you build a nice building with an inviting streetscape in hopes that, after we get it, work with.
It adds leverage to the
Norfolk
conversation.
Southern.
But I can see when this is built, people making that turn to go down there, thinking that the building and the street goes through, there's gonna be turnarounds, there's gonna be traffic, and there are people that still do live there.
Yeah,
So, I mean,
Yeah. But if I could just put it into this context, is if you own all those things that we're talking about, those ideas, someone has to pay for it. And this is the perfect opportunity. You gotta, Ray, you gotta give them a little higher density because they're gonna give the town whatever the number is to work, to hire a professional engineer, a traffic engineer. We work with Neglia, and it's not easy to get that done. So, everything costs a little bit something. Where we get the money, we try to get it from the redeveloper. So, what you really can't do in regular strict planning, you won't hear this conversation in a planning board application outside of the redevelopment concept because it's not legal. In the redevelopment context, it is because the redevelopment law allows the town to negotiate the impacts, for funds and enter agreements to mitigate the impacts of the redevelopment. So, I mean, I can tell you, I'm willing to. When I work when Marie tells me it lets me deal directly with Norfolk Southern, I have their contact information. If they're somewhere, I think they're in Texas or something based, I will report back to you through Brian on that. And then Brian, however you want to handle, and Tom, however you want to handle Franklin I'm up for
Yeah,
that.
I think the county is gonna be a little more difficult to make any kind of change whatsoever, but I think Norfolk, I think there's potential there. Let's just get through getting the barriers on the railroad
Yeah,
first,
right.
stop the illegal use, then we'll move over to the conversation regarding, the past.
I just want to leave the board with this from a planning perspective. Planners, we're not going to plan for today, we're not going to plan for tomorrow, we have to also plan for what 2055, 2065 looks like. So the conversations about potentially a light rail, well, these buildings are already here. So if that does manifest, that population has that at their doorstep. So there's options to go with that rail line. Where that goes, I don't know. I do have personal stories professionally where battling with counties, rail lines, transportation roads, you gotta have a lever, typically how I see it, to pull on. I have this project, I have this population, where's my light rail? I have this population, where's that crossing? You know, you're choking us out, you're not giving us, we're not waiting on you any longer, we're knocking on your door, we're here. So it's kind of, you know, what comes first, chicken or the egg? Because you don't have any action going, you're not the priority. So I do say, from a planning perspective, long term, if that rail line is activated in some manner, that population's already there.
Okay, thank you. No other questions? I'm going to close off this portion, open up to the public. Does the public have any questions? Mr. Sheldon?
Good evening, everyone. Michael Sheldon, 47 Lloyd Street. Mr. Marinello actually answered my first question a few moments ago, and that's just to acknowledge the fact that this is a consistency review tonight, that if and when the developer, I'm sure you all know who the developer is, Genuine Properties LLC, the two principals there are Mirza, Mike Otovic, who's Mr. Priest guy in the Union Avenue developments. The other partner there is William Villano, who's a town hall employee, but if and when they do move forward with this project, they're going to have to come back for the full site plan review. Even though it sounds, based on Mr. Dougherty's presentation tonight, it sounds like there's already a full site plan in existence, but nevertheless, the applicants are going to have to come back here at some future date for that routine procedure.
And your question is?
Well, just to confirm, so we all
Well,
agree. We all
it's
agree.
not summary time yet.
Right. Well, the couple of the planning board members asked questions and expressed concern about, you know, this project. Mr. Dougherty said during his discussion that the intention here was to reactivate this portion of Belleville. And I believe you, Mr. Robert, and Mr. Venero both made references to the fact that you know, there's already a lot of other projects that right diagonally across the corner, recently approved, is the 47 unit. I think it was reduced from 51 to 47 units, but it's still 5 stories. We've got the Red Vermilion, which is 268 units, which is already opening. At least the North Tower, the Kelsey on the other side of the ShopRite, 115 units.
I think the board's aware of it.
Right.
Yeah.
But you also have
We don't want to be here till.
the tower. Well, look, you guys all had an hour. I want like 3 or 4 minutes, please.
But it's a question time.
Well, this all ties together. The Cortland Terry Street project is about ready to open, 115 units there. Now, and there's also just started groundbreaking, is something that you guys approved a few years ago near Firehouse Number 2 on Washington Avenue. Here's a question, maybe a question to you guys. The Terry Loft, the Washington Avenue by Firehouse, this project, which is probably going to get green lighted, the thing at diagonally across on Ronnie's, where Ronnie's gas station it currently exists, the Red Vermilion, and the Kelsey on the other side. What ward are all of these projects in? The 4th ward. They're all in the 4th ward. You're pumping unit after unit into the 4th ward. How many elementary schools are there in the 4th ward? 2. School number 3 and school number 9. And I know there's some crossover to school number 5, but school number 5 technically is in the 2nd ward, right? So you got all of these projects, and almost all of them, how are they being financed? Through pilots. How much additional tax revenue does the Board of Education get from the pilot agreements? Zero. Have any of you, and I've asked you, I begged you, and it's on my Facebook page, I keep posting it whenever the opportunity comes up, have any of you listened to the dire predictions Dr. Tomko made in February of last year about the district's own demography studies, how our schools are almost already at their carrying capacity, and that the district's demographers, I know Mr. Banda is going to beg to differ, that his studies indicate otherwise.
Only because we're doing a lot of one-bedroom studios.
Well,
They're
that's
not
the,
studies, they're
that's the
actual
argument that
reality.
one-bedroom, right, we all know, a one-bedroom apartment has never, ever produced a single kid in the history of the United States, right? Right, we all, how ridiculous that is. But, you know, Mr. Dougherty, just a few moments ago, said, you know, his job as a planner is to worry about what happens in 2055 or 2065. I'm not worried so much about that. I'm worried about what happens in 2030 or 2035. According to Dr. Tomko's warnings, by that time, we're going to run out of school space. We will have no more classroom space. Now, you guys are the planners. You're supposed to be looking at the big picture. What is going to happen to all sectors of this township this year, next year, 5 years, 10 years, 20 years from now? Are any of you bothering to look at what your decisions may do to our school system? Dr. Tomko, in that same warning, said he had made multiple efforts to reach out to the town council, to sit at the table with them and with you, to all come to an agreement on how these projects are going to impact the school. And at every turn, he was ignored. Ignored at every turn. That's on the record. Have you watched, Mr. Inaugurato, have you watched his comments? Heard about them. I'm going to send you all the link tonight, tomorrow, and every day until I know you all have watched his warnings. But, you know, you guys...
I don't need to watch it, I heard it.
Yeah, well,
But
but...
now the part that we're coming to right now is that there is a question before we continue the meeting.
Well, obviously, you're going to just...
I think
pass-
courteous.
I think
it's-
we've already passed the point of
Yeah,
questions.
well, this is,
well
you're
into
going to
testifying.
obviously just say, it sounds, you've done the consistent review, it's consistent with the master plan, now let the council deal with it. This particular project, they're already in the pipeline to get a pilot agreement. The project won't go forward, as so many others of this nature.
I don't know
None of-
that,
none of
nor
that
does
is
any
before
of the
this.
members.
No, but you guys should all be aware of it, and, you know, just don't,
Well, we can't
play dumb
surmise.
or turn a blind eye to what's actually going on here. So, you know, I'm begging you once again, and last thing before I return to my seat, all of these other projects that have already come online, and I'm going to refer specifically to the Essex, Mr. Tiflinski's project south of the town wall. It's my understanding he's having one hell of a time finding tenants for that building. And that's why he sold, I think he's already sold it. There was a motion on the council agenda a couple weeks ago to transfer the financial agreement to a new owner. Mr. Tiflinski is apparently pulling out of Belleville. He's not going to go forward with the Cosarelli project. He got approved by this board to put up a 5-story building on the northern part of the former School 1 block. He's abandoning.
This is very interesting, but it has nothing to do.
Well, you had a guy, the first major developer who was gung-ho about the future of Belleville, who was going to, you know, help us redevelop and move Belleville into a new age. And now, a few years later, he realizes what's really going on and is hightailing it out of here. Are any of you bothering?
You should be kind of happy because we're against that project, if I'm not mistaken.
Well, when I was on the zoning board, we approved 80 units for that site. And when Mr. Mellon was running for office in November of 2017, he gave an article,
Right.
interview with the Observer. He chastised
You
the
have
zoning
1
board
minute
for 8
left.
units,
I
saying
think I've given you a
that there
lot
was
of
too many
leeway
units,
here.
that Belleville couldn't tolerate big residential developments. Talk about being a hypocrite. But the last thing I want to ask, you owe it to yourselves and to this community. You should conduct a study, which should be updated at least quarterly, looking at the occupancy of the existing big mixed-use residential buildings to see how much of a demand exists for these types of projects in Belleville. And if you discover, and it seems to be the case, that most of these large buildings, the ones that have been completed, such as the Essex, are largely begging for tenants, then there's very little motivation to put any more of these online. So you're the planning board, you have the resources
to do this type of study. Ask for the tenant situation for the buildings that are being completed, and take it from there before you make any more rash decisions to put additional huge buildings in our township. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Just to clear the record, I did speak to the leasing agents at the Essex. There's 110 units leased, 110, 111 units out of the 158. They're moving along. So, Mr. Tiflinski is pulling out of town not because he's afraid of what's going on here. He's pulling out because he's having problems all across the board in his business. So, just an FYI on that.
Okay, thank you for the
I can go
additional.
further into the schools, but I'll leave that.
Well,
I actually commend Mr. Sheldon for what he's been saying to the schools and pressing them. Keep
okay.
pressing them, Mike.
Is there any other questions, or I'm going to close this portion? So next we will vote.
Well, you need, so what we're looking for is direction to give me so that I can
Right.
write a letter, authorized letter from this board to the mayor and council that the redevelopment plan is consistent with the plans for the township, including the master plan. I think you got a lot of information from Mr. Doherty, but ultimately it's up to you guys by way of a motion. We don't have to have a resolution for this. The motion is to authorize me to write the letter. So I'll leave it to you guys.
Well, there wasn't too much input. Does anybody want to change any of the plan? I don't think. So then we get a motion to accept presentation.
Motion.
Second. Roll call.
Chairwoman Inaugurato.
Yes.
Mr. Venero.
Yes.
Mr. Banda.
Yes.
Mr. Giordano.
Yes?
Ms. Lunds.
Yes.
Mr. Guyan.
Yes.
Mr. Pizzi.
Yes.
Mr. Zangari.
Yes.
Okay, approved all.
Okay, thank you.
On the record, we'll deal with Franklin Avenue, and we'll deal with the grade crossing. We'll keep you up to date as to any progress.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Huh?
Does she need a break?
Mike, you just want to break?
Would you like a break?
Yes.
All right, just to let you know, I'm going to excuse myself from this next application because I wasn't here for the first one. Good? All right, thank you. Night, guys.
The short straw tonight. I should be in there. I'm the hired help.
Yeah, whatever.
You could be in that chair and look like a...
She's good.
See,
She was gonna come back, but that's...
you always see Ron, the canvas.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
We're going to take a quick 5-minute break. Can I get a motion?
You don't need a- you
Oh,
don't-
no, need a motion. We'll take a 5-minute break.
Show this first. Yeah, I mean, we did the existing conditions last
Right on my block, it's picking up spots.
Been down to Short Hill?
Oh.
Not yet.
I went down Monday, I went by trees, I went by palm trees.
Yeah.
There's not a Palisades Park.
Right.
I started, within 9 years, I started planting trees. This year my wife wanted to go.
Oh, really? Yeah, yeah.
Fenced it a lot, 200 posts. So, buddy, I don't want to take the guy down the street short.
Okay. Yeah.
Same exact tree. Every year, $20. Like 3 trees, you know? I like
You live around here?
They were trying to buy it.
I bring them, they share for them home, but they had 2.
Yeah, there you go.
Are you related to his lawyer, Gary?
This is on the golf course.
One of them is a greenhouse.
Right around
Where am I?
I deal with him a lot.
I just talked to somebody.
I actually saw him in Florida when I was there. When I was with my wife's student, he was there with his wife.
25 William Street, are you ready to proceed?
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair, members of the board, good evening. Jason Tuvel, attorney for the applicant. We were here 2 months ago, the board recalls, I believe it was in March. The applicant had originally proposed to subdivide the existing 2 lots, which are, one is non-conforming, into 3 lots with a 2-family home on each lot. So there would be 3 lots with a 2-family home on each one. We did present testimony from our engineer, and the board, after hearing that testimony, I could read the tea leaves, said, take a look at this again. 3 lots seems to be a little bit much at this location. So we revised the plans. We now have 2 lots, so there's 2 lots now, there'll be 2 lots in the future. So what that did is we were able to put a structure on each property. Each structure has 3 units within it, which is permitted in the RB zone in which the property is located. We were able to reduce the magnitude of the variances that we were seeking as a result of making that change, and they're outlined in Mr. Harrods's letter. The variances that we still have are really a function, and we'll go through this in our testimony, are really a function of 2 things, I would say. The shallow depth of the lot, and also the fact that we're a corner. But from a parking perspective, we comply with the parking. From a coverage perspective, we're well under now the impervious coverage requirement, so there's a lot more open space and green space on the property. Your ordinance also has a minimum open space requirement that we exceed by a good amount. So what I'd like to do now is have our architect, who is not sworn, Madam Chair, at the last meeting, we only had our engineer, but I can just have him briefly explain where the new lot line has been drawn, and then we can go into the layout of the homes and the elevations, if that's okay.
Yes.
That's fine. Before you have him sworn in, who else do you have here to testify?
So I do have the engineer still here. If there's any questions, I can stipulate that we reviewed Mr. Harris's letter. I believe it's dated April 8th, 2025. We can comply with all the comments set forth therein. But Mr. Frenzel, who did testify previously, is here. I do have Mr. Flynn here as our professional planner, because we do have variances, and I was going to put that variance testimony on the record.
Okay, so why don't we start with Mr. Kokoris? Could you please raise your right hand? Or do you want? I do this so often with him that it just comes right out. Mr. Kokoris, do you swear that your testimony in this application tonight will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Please give us your name and business address for the record.
Sure, Vasilios, Vassilios, Kokoros, Cocoros, 467 Sylvan Avenue, Englewood Cliffs, New Jersey, 07632. I go by Bill, so it's easier for everybody.
All right, Mr. Kokoris, if you could just give the board the benefit of your credentials as an architect in the state of New Jersey, educational backgrounds, license, whether it's current and good standing, and experience testifying as an expert witness.
Sure, I graduated NJIT in 1992. I became licensed in 1997, and I basically do residential work, mostly 1- and 2-family dwellings, some light commercial work, and some small mid-rise buildings. I've been doing this since basically 1999 on my own, and I've been regularly appearing before boards. Thank you.
Great. All right, so Mr. Kokoris, if you could
Can
just...
the board be moved, just rotated just a little bit so that all of us in the
The plan?
audience... Oh, the board, yeah, just rotated just a little bit
Sure.
so members of the vast members of The audience can see it.
So you can
Yeah,
hear.
well, it's for me. It's for me. It's for me. I know.
It's nice enough to not the binoculars.
Yeah.
It's just a line through a rectangle.
Move up, I'm sure you could finish.
Oh, I didn't.
Okay, so Billy, if you don't mind, just explain to the board the change that we made and indicate where the new lot line was added to the plan to make it a two-lot subdivision.
Sure, we basically oriented the dwellings right now along Cortlandt, which was the previous configuration with 3 lots. What we've done is we've basically divided the consolidated lots into 2 lots fronting on Cortlandt. We basically have a dividing line or subdivision line that is 75 feet deep, which is basically the depth of the proposed lot, which includes the front lot that was on the corner of Cortlandt and the interior lot that was fronting on William Street.
All right, so there are 2 lots now, and there'll be 2 lots in the future.
Correct.
All right, and just to be clear, you're referring to, maybe we should mark it as A1, just a subdivision plan prepared by Azalina Fury. It's okay.
This was previously submitted.
Yeah, you have this exact plan in your packet, it's just, I just wanted to make sure
And the
that,
lots are equally sized?
correct. Let me just double check. They're
They're
very close.
They're similar, due to the angle along William Street. The corner lot is 4,228 square feet, and the interior one is 4,038.81 square feet.
Yep, they're very close, sorry, council.
Okay.
So, all right, so Billy, why don't we now go to your plan and show the layout of the 2 structures that are going to be presented, that we're proposing, excuse me. So just refer to the sheet, this was also submitted, we can mark it if you want.
We don't, if it's previously submitted, we don't have to mark it, but if you want to, just for identification, if there's an identifying number on the sheet that you want to refer us to.
So, Mr. Kokoris, this is A1 from the latest set of plans that you submitted to the board?
Yes,
Okay, so why don't you explain the layout of the homes?
sure. Should I go to layout first or the?
Just
the
indicate
elevations?
where they are on the lots, I think that'd be helpful.
Sure, on the upper right-hand corner, I got the site plan, the schematic site plan, that shows the 2 houses facing along Cortlandt. I have a 3-car driveway and a 3-car garage behind that driveway for the proposed 3-unit building on each side. The buildings themselves are 43 feet 6 inches wide by 38 feet 6 inches deep. They're basically the same configuration. What we've done is we basically fronted it on Cortlandt, reason being that I think William is the busier street, it's a wider right-of-way, and I think as far as backing out onto William might create certain issues. And in addition, we tried to take advantage of the angle in the front to minimize the corner of the building that's at Cortlandt and William Street. If you look at the elevations here, we basically have the front, sides, and rear. At the front, we basically have actually probably a 3 material configuration where we have brick, some sort of panelized system, probably like a hardy board, which it looks like stucco, but a cleaner look with panel caps. And then we'll probably do a stucco bay window that's next to the front doors, where we have a nice little window setup since that's in the living room. In addition to that, we'll probably put some sort of metal panel that has a wood look between the windows themselves to kind of add a 4th material to the overall configuration. I did do a initial, it's a very primitive color study.
Pass it out way. Want me to just pass it out over here, you guys can?
This we should mark.
Yeah, so we'll mark this as A2, I guess it was. This, we'll call it council colored elevation, is that okay?
Yes.
Prepared by Mr. Kokoris' office.
Yeah, sorry, it was a basic study we did on Photoshop, just to kind of get the color scheme and the variation of the different houses.
All right, while they're passing that around, Mr. Kokoris, just to be clear, the homes or the lots comply with the lot coverage requirements and the open space requirements?
Yes.
Okay, and also there'll be stormwater management controls also on the property, as Mr. Frenzel previously testified to?
Yes, we do have proposed a 1,000-gallon seepage pit concrete precast. However, that system would have to be verified with a perk test, and we would have to provide backup drainage calculations that can be submitted to the building department or the board engineer to make sure that we're in compliance.
All right, and that's consistent with Mr. Harris's letter, and you'll agree to comply with all the comments set forth therein?
Yes.
Okay, great. All right, continue on the elevation.
Sure. If you go to the rear and the side are basically similar, where we have a hardy plank type horizontal siding. We're trying to make it look, try to break up with different different materials in the back and the sides. There'll be one material. We'll do corner boards, and then we'll keep the hardy plank type siding. We would try to make different colors for each of the houses, so we have a little bit of a variety, and they don't look like the same. Same thing with the front elevation. We might do something different with the bay window and the windows off to the side. The configuration is basically 3 levels. You can see here in the front, we have the staircase up to an entry platform, 1 door for the second floor apartment, and then 1 door for the first floor apartment. And then along the left of that, we have the 3-car garage and a 3-car driveway. The building itself is 3 stories. We have it basically 36 feet to the roof peak, and then to the midpoint we have 32'7". And they're basically, both buildings are pretty much similar in height. One is 32.81, the other one is 32.57. So they're basically within 2 inches of each other, because the lot is relatively level.
All right, can you just walk the board through the floor plan so they can see how each unit plays out? And you're referring now to exhibit A, I'm sorry, sheet A.
I have the plans oriented from left to right. On the left, I got the basement or ground floor plan, which is basically, you see on the front left, I got the 3-car garage that's basically 35 feet wide by 21 foot deep, so you can fit 3 cars within that. And in front of those cars in the driveway is the other parking space. It's basically 2 parking spaces.
And this is the floor plan for both homes, correct?
Yes.
Same floor plan?
Exactly, yes.
Okay. And just to be clear, just on the lower unit on the first floor, or the ground floor, the entry to that unit will be from where, just so the board is aware?
Well, the ground floor unit, we have entered at the side, which is basically, we have a 1-bedroom apartment proposed on the ground floor, which is access from the side door. There's a possibility of putting a door from the garage area into that space also, because we do have a little bit of room where the closet is. And then at the front right, I got the landing from the stair up to the first floor, down to the ground floor level, where we have a door, then a storage room, and then we have a staircase up to the first floor apartment. So basically, this portion of the first floor is connected to the first floor apartment, which would be the primary apartment. And then the second floor is accessed via the staircase up to the landing area, and then they'll basically park their car and then walk up the staircase, and then get to the landing area, open the door, and then have a direct flight up to the second floor apartment.
So why don't you walk the board through the layout of that unit?
Which one?
The second floor.
Oh, sure. The first and second floor are basically the same units, just a little difference because of the entry platform. We have it set up as a 3-bedroom configuration, one being a primary suite with its own ensuite bathroom. Then we have a shared hallway bathroom. The 2 bedrooms have their own closets, would share, and that could also be used for a powder room for guests. And then off to the right-hand side, we got the living room in the front, the kitchen area, and a eating area that's kind of combined. We have a stackable laundry off of the hallway for the convenience of the person who take this place. And then in addition, we have a small deck off the back rear right corner where I got 10 feet wide by 6 feet deep. And that's in the rear yard of the proposed property.
And the layout for both the second and third floor are the same?
Yeah, there's a slight difference in the front right corner where I got a closet instead of the entry platform down below, but basically the same bedroom count, the same configuration, just a slight difference in the front right corner because of the second floor and the stairs.
And all 3 units obviously have access to the garage where their vehicles could be kept?
Yes, now, basically the first floor, the first floor and the ground floor, they could have direct access from inside the garage itself. However, the second floor unit, they would have to come out. The to the,
Garage door.
yeah, the front door, just go upstairs, which is kind of typical on these, you know, these 6/6 type setups.
Okay, just go back to the site plan if you don't mind.
Sure. Actually, I got a site plan sheet, that's one.
Okay, so referring to your sheet, S1.
That's the third one on
Okay, I just wanted to make sure, we just talked about some of the relief that was noted in the letter. So, for both lots, 3.01 and 4.01, which are the two lots, there's a existing condition as it relates to depth of about 75 feet and 76.5 feet. That's an existing condition just based on the depth of the property, correct?
Yes, and also the configuration of fronting the houses on Cortlandt, which is two things. It's a quieter street, and, you know, it eliminates the chance of somebody backing out.
And it also provides, would you say, more depth and more width along Cortlandt versus William?
Yes, correct.
All right, so that's just working with the confines of the property.
Yes.
All right, then there's a front yard, now going to lot 3.01, which I believe is the corner property.
Yes.
Okay, there's a variance as it relates to front yard setback. Now, the front of the house is set back the required 20 feet off of Cortlandt, correct?
Yes.
It's just that because it's a corner property, we have two front yards, is that accurate?
Yes.
So there's a little, on the side of the house, which happens to be a front, there is a pinch point of 3.84 feet.
Well, actually, in the back, it's 5 feet 1 inches, and then at the front corner, I got 9 feet 5, let's say 9.5 feet to
Okay.
to the front of the side of the building as you're looking at it from Cortlandt Street.
Okay. And then the rear yards, this is for both, aligned with each other, right? You basically align both buildings to be uniform?
Yes, the front yards and the rear of the building is the same. However, there's a slight angle of the back property line, so the closest point of the lot 4.01, I got 15.5 feet on the left-hand side, and then 16 feet 4 inches on the right-hand side.
Okay. And despite that, though, the building coverage complies, correct?
Yes.
All right, now on just the one side yard issue on lot 4.01, 5 feet's required. We're actually at 4.95 feet. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's I want to say, it's basically 5/8 of an inch shy. You know, there's two things that we do. Either it's considered de minimis, or if we can take an inch off the building and make it from the lot.
Okay, but again, that's basically right at the requirement, correct?
Correct.
Okay. And, what's that? Almost. But that's why you indicated we could hopefully make it comply.
Yeah, at the back corner, you know, we have 5 foot 3 inches, so it's like, you know, it's basically that lot line on the.
Is it angled slightly?
Yeah, angled, and there's also a little bit of a kick in towards our property from the neighbor. I don't know if that was a adjustment, but, you know, actually it lines up with where the property that was combined with the property at the corner. So, you know, there was a little bit of a jog. And that jog, I think, was like maybe two feet over there.
All right, and then on that same sheet, now that we're on it, shows some of the drainage improvements that you're proposing, correct?
Yeah, so basically, you know, I got roof leaders located and stormwater lines. So basically at the front corners of the building, at the front right, front left, and then at the rear, we have the corner leaders coming down from the gutters on the roof, and those will tie into a seepage pit, the 1,000-gallon seepage pit. We also have a stone base and a stone ring, you know, basically a stone trench around the pits themselves, which slightly increases the capacity, and then, you know, it makes it easier to install also.
And as Mr. Frenzel testified to, none of these stormwater controls are on site today, correct?
No.
All right, that's all I have, Madam Chair, for this witness.
Can I just get a confirmation on the lot? I mean, this might just be an old vestige from the prior version of this when it was 3 lots. But the lot size in the table, Mr. Kokoris, that you have says that it's 3,500 square feet is the required size. So I'm looking at the zoning table, I admit I'm looking at it online, but I think it's for 3-unit buildings, I think it's actually 5,000 square feet. Maybe Mr. Flynn is
Yeah,
back.
it wasn't in Mr. Harris's report, but if that's the case, then.
I mean, it would just be another variance,
Yeah.
but, because you have roughly 4,200 square feet, which is over the 35.
Yeah, we can confirm that with Mr. Harris and our planner. I was just going off of his
I
letter.
think I carried from
I
the
know, I'm
previous
just
note
looking
table.
at the,
That's fine, I was just going off of Mr. Harris's letter, but we could confirm it. That's fine.
yeah,
So you're saying each house has 7 bedrooms?
Yeah, you got one on the ground floor, 3 on the second, on the first floor, and then on the top floor, I got another 3.
And you have 3 garages.
Yes.
Knock off a floor for me. I think it's too big.
I actually was gonna say the same thing. I really think it's too big. I think the basement apartment needs to be eliminated. Maybe connect with the first floor, make it a rec room or something, but.
No, I don't even like that. I like, they're gonna rent the basement anyway.
Either way, they're gonna use
So
it for something, so.
the top floor should be gone.
I mean, we comply with the height and the stories.
It's just too big.
Yeah, I think, if we could reduce the footprint, would that be something that's amenable to the board?
To
The footprint, reduce the footprint, take a couple feet, take a few feet off the building.
no, 7 bedrooms is too big for me.
I just had a question. This project requires 8 variances, and then you propose a 3-family where 2 is allowed.
No, three's allowed in the
It
zone.
says here, it's on your thing, it says 2 families allowed.
No, in the RB zone, three's allowed.
Yeah, right, three's a lot.
On
the
the
third,
application, it says 2.
yeah, the third family has, if you have a third family, it has slightly different zoning requirements for the size of the lot and the frontage and what have you, but it is an allowable use.
Yeah, that's because, Mr. Venero, we amended the application after the first meeting, so the plans were changed, but initially it was
This current one, that's all.
Yeah.
But it still needs, about 8 variants?
It needs, if you take the minimum lot size as well, technically it needs 3 variances per lot, and then there's 1 pre-existing nonconformity, which is the lot depth, which we can't change because of the configuration of the property. And remember, we're combining 2 lots and then dividing it in the middle, so I would say there's 3.
Well, it's better than 3 lots, but
So
the
can
houses are big.
Madam Chair, could I just address your comment regarding the number of bedrooms?
Yes.
So the unit size, the number of units or the 3 units is permitted. The building coverage, we do comply with. I'm not going to deny the fact that some of the setbacks don't comply, but the coverage and the density does comply, and the height complies. So the massing of the building does comply with the ordinance. So that it's kind of subjective to say, 6 bedrooms or 7, which one, I'm not trying to belittle the comment, but I'm just saying we try to work within the coverage and the height. But I do understand the fact that maybe the board feels that the buildings are too big, and we can maybe look at that.
How would you look at them? What do you mean by look at them?
As Mr. Kokoris indicated,
It's like lowering the building height or something?
no, well, the height complies.
That complies.
That complies. It wouldn't be that if the board felt that massing was too big, we'd have to reduce the footprint of the building. It wouldn't be, the height complies, it wouldn't be take off a story, we'd probably look at the footprint of the building, which would, I think, Mr. Kokoris, correct me if I'm wrong, would maybe reduce a bedroom or 2 if we did do that.
Well, you actually have 2 members that's already stated. One wants the second floor removed, one wants the basement apartment removed. I think something's gonna have to give there.
Like I said, it's taking a floor off. I guess you're saying that it's because of how many of the square footage of the unit, that's why that's maybe being said versus actually the height of the building. So I understand the comment, so we'll take a look at that.
Are there any other?
With the amount of bedrooms on that corner, there's potential for about 16 children there.
Yeah.
It just seems a little too much for that corner. Knowing that corner, that's a lot.
I understand the comment. The problem with, I guess the hard part about it is, and I understand we need some variances, so I'm not downplaying that, but the 3 units are permitted. You can do 3 units there. So whether they're 2 bedrooms or 3 bedrooms, you can do a 3-unit home there. It is permitted under the RV zone.
Yeah, but.
To what you said, at a higher lot area, I understand.
No, I know, I know you know. But that's exactly the point. If they were just permitted as it is, you wouldn't be here. They're permitted.
Well, we'd still need a subdivision approval.
That's true.
We still need a subdivision.
And I think the subdivision definitely, I mean, I'm not speaking for the board, but I think that works much better this way than it did the way you had it the first time, where you had the 3 lots, I think. And I think that the design of the building is really good. It's a question of whether the board feels it's sort of still too much for that site. But, you know, I'm not giving my opinion.
No,
I do think this is better than what we had the last
And
time.
can I also comment, I understand the 7-bedroom comment by Mr. Giordano and by the chairwoman, but there was a reason that we wanted to make sure it complied with the parking, because usually when you have a certain amount of bedrooms, the concern of the board is, well, if you increase the number of bedrooms in a building, do you comply with the parking? We do have the requisite number of parking spaces associated with the product. I just wanted to make that clear that we were thinking about that.
And I can understand why you oriented the building on Cortlandt. Your architect said William was basically more dangerous, but Cortlandt is just as dangerous, backing out into there.
Is it, I thought, you know, going to, towards Newark or to North Newark, William Street is like kind of like the pass-through street, like,
Well, the way it's oriented now gives us more, makes the lot widths conforming.
Yeah.
So that's
No, I
the main
understand.
planning reason why they're built there.
William, that intersection, they just made it a 4-way stop, so it's a lot
Yeah.
safer than it was before.
Was it dangerous intersection?
Any other comment? I'll close this portion and I'll open it up. Mr. Sheldon?
Yes.
Yeah, that's right. I know.
Mike, do I need to swear you in, or are we gonna be?
Yes, just like Sheldon Cooper from the Big Bang
Thank you.
Theory, right?
Do we need to swear you in, or can you stick to
47th light straight.
Do we need to swear you in, or can we keep it to questions?
Well, I'm going to try to just ask questions at this point.
Great,
Okay?
let's do it.
Do my best, I promise. I promise. But before I ask my question, I don't feel obligated to tell the applicant's attorney, I want to congratulate him on his master's victory.
I get that all the time.
You look so much like Rory McIlroy.
I get that all the time. I don't have his swing or his money. He's not here at 10 o'clock at night presenting. But thank you for the compliment. Thank you for the compliment.
Mr. Nogarado had brought this up a few moments ago. I would just like some clarification. For 3-family houses in the RB zone, minimum lot size is 5,000 square feet.
Yes, I confirm it is.
That is the case, right? So the applicant is only providing in one case 4,228 and 4,038 feet, if I recorded the numbers correctly. So he's well below, well, not even close to the minimum lot size for these. So that would be a variance, if I understand. Well, obviously variance, but my question then.
Different ones.
Yeah, question is, does that rise to the level of a D variance, or is it just as a bulk C variance in this case?
Yeah, you're supposed to be asking questions of them, but I realize you're asking the question of me.
Well, generally.
That would be a bulk variance.
I
The
believe
only-
it would be a bulk
Yeah,
variance.
D variance is only related to use, density, height, over 10%.
All right, well, all right, so just a bulk variance. And Mr. Nogarado brought up a moment ago, and just want to reiterate this, confirm it there. As proposed, there are 7 bedrooms in each unit.
Each structure.
Each structure. And you're providing 12 parking spots total?
Yes. There's 6 per structure.
6 per. And does the zoning require you to have the same number of parking spots as the number of bedrooms for?
It's RSIS governs parking.
But under our zoning, for the RB zone, if I remember correctly, the number of parking spots has to equal the number of bedroom units. So I think you would actually need 14 parking spots, but you're only, right now, providing 12.
I think RSIS would typically trump that, so, but I believe it's.
So for the first 3 bedrooms, it's 1 space per bedroom.
Oh, okay, we'll
For
get
the,
back to
for
that.
the 4th bedroom or more, it's 0.75, so it works out to
All right.
it works out to 6 per building.
So it would be 3 inside and 3 outside.
I keep forgetting that there's this complicated formula that changes depending on number of units. I just wanted to make sure that I understood what the parking needs are and what's being proposed here. So the applicant is proposing 12 and he only needs 12, right? Okay. All right, thank you.
Any other comments from the public? Having none, I'm going to close this portion.
Can I just have a minute with the architect? Is that okay?
Sure. He's gonna know.
That property is good for one.
Yeah.
Okay.
You got a date you wanna do?
Let me just do these. When's the next meeting?
The next one is June 12th, Thursday, June 12th.
It sounds like it might be a little quick.
Yeah, I mean, even if I can't see here, somebody
Just
from my
let me
office,
know.
somebody from my office.
Yeah, but we're gonna have everything in 10 days before.
When's our next meeting?
Okay, yeah, so can I, just for the record, is back on?
Hold on, you can go back.
I was trying to do my best to get what you said, so.
All right.
Yeah,
So sorry to start right now.
All right, so just to be clear, because I want to just do, as much as I love coming here, just so we can do this one more time, and that's it. The board was not pleased with the basement unit, and the board felt that the bulk of the building was still a little too much because of the number of bedrooms. That, I know you can't tell me.
Not so much the basement, it's 3 families and.
Well, Mr.
and
Guy
it's large.
has concerns about it.
I had a concern about the basement.
But I think you got a flavor for some of the concerns that might, crop up during the process of the rest of this application. So if you want to adjourn it tonight and, powwow with everyone that you need to and see what you want to do with the application, we can carry this. I have a little bit of a concern about carrying it to the June 12th meeting only because you'd have to have your stuff in by the 2nd.
Well, unlike the prior one where we had to redo the
Yes, that's
subdivision
true.
plan, all we'd be doing here is probably changing the footprint of the building.
Yeah, that's
It
fine.
wouldn't be as significant of a.
As long as, Billy thinks he can get it done that quickly, then we can carry it to the 12th.
Yeah, I mean, I'll be in touch if there's.
If there's an issue. I mean, and we can carry it again at the 12th if your plans aren't ready yet.
Yeah, we'll try to get them in at least, 2 weeks ahead of time.
Right. So, is the board okay with carrying this application to the June date?
Yes.
So this application, which is, let me find out what this application is called.
Yeah.
Thank you. PB 2503, 41 and 45 William Street will be carried to the next meeting of this board on June 12th at 6:30 PM here in the same chambers that we're in tonight. No further notice will be necessary and time is waived.
Yes.
Okay, so we will look forward to
Yeah,
seeing.
I always like giving you a date, so you want to wait it through June 30th? Is that fine?
What do you mean?
I always like giving you a date for the extension, if you need an extension.
No, look, Jason and I go back a long way, and he always calls me before the hearings, as he did today. So we know each other a long time. So if you are having a problem with the date, we always meet. We will be back here on June 12th, and when we do, we can carry it at that point.
Sure, that's fine. Okay.
Okay?
All right, great. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you. Good night. All right, then that will conclude what we have on our agenda, so I'm going to ask for, take a motion to adjourn. All in favor? All right, see everybody June 12th.